I never thought a house key could break a man's heart, but the day I stood at my own front door and realized my key no longer fit, my world collapsed. That house wasn't just a roof over my head. It was my blood, my sweat, my sacrifice. Every wall, every nail, every corner carried a piece of me. Yet in one cruel moment I was shut out. She looked me straight in the eye, the woman I once trusted more than anyone else, and said the words that cut deeper than any knife. "You don't live here anymore." The humiliation, the shock, the betrayal, I felt it all at once. Neighbors peeked out their windows, watching me stand there like a stranger on my own doorstep. My legs felt weak, my chest heavy, as if the air itself had been stolen from me. But here's what she didn't know. Locking me out wasn't the end of the story. It was the spark that would uncover her lies, expose her greed, and bring justice crashing down on her head. Because betrayal may hurt, but it also ignites a fire. And mine was just getting started. My name is Daniel, and for over 10 years I worked like a man possessed. Long hours, double shifts, weekends that never felt like weekends. Every paycheck was stretched to the limit, every extra dollar tucked away. I wasn't chasing luxury cars or fancy vacations. I was chasing something far simpler, something far more important. Stability. I wanted a place where I could finally breathe, a place I could call my own. A home that would stand as proof that all the sacrifices, all the sleepless nights, all the sweat I poured into my work meant something. And finally, after years of grinding, I bought that house. It wasn't a mansion with chandeliers and marble floors. It wasn't a grand estate with endless rooms, but it was mine. Every tile I chose, every window I cleaned with my own hands, every corner carried my effort, my sacrifice, my pride. Walking through those doors the first time felt like stepping into a new life, a better life. At first, Melissa, my wife, seemed just as proud. She filled the rooms with laughter, decorated every corner, invited friends and family just to show off what we had accomplished. She would walk around smiling, telling everyone it was our dream come true. And I believed her. I believed that we had finally made it, that all the years of struggle had brought us closer. But as time passed, her warmth began to fade. The smile that once lit up her face turned sharp, almost mocking. The soft words of encouragement were replaced with biting remarks. Little arguments about bills or groceries grew into nightly battles about money, about priorities, about things that never used to matter. Each fight left a scar, her words cutting deeper than I wanted to admit. I told myself it was stress. Maybe she was restless. Maybe I wasn't giving her enough attention. I kept making excuses, clinging to the hope that things would return to the way they once were, because the truth was too painful to face. The truth was that while I was out breaking my back to keep that home alive, Melissa was quietly laying the groundwork for a betrayal I never could have imagined. And by the time I finally opened my eyes to see what was happening, it was already too late. I was already standing on the outside of my own front door, locked out of the very life I had built. The day it happened still feels like a nightmare. I came home from work, exhausted but relieved to be done for the day, only to find my key no longer turned. I tried again and again, confusion rising like panic. Finally I knocked, thinking maybe the lock had jammed. But when the door opened, Melissa was there, staring at me with a look that froze my blood, cold, almost satisfied. "You don't live here anymore," she said, tossing a stack of papers into my hands. I stood there stunned, unable to speak. My name wasn't on the mailbox anymore. The locks had been changed. The house I had paid for, the home I had built, was gone with the twist of a key. I tried to argue, to reason with her, but she just smirked and shut the door, leaving me standing in the dark, holding meaningless papers while neighbors whispered. That humiliation burned into me. For days I slept in my car, staring at the house through the windshield, trying to make sense of it. Every conversation we'd ever had replayed in my head. How long had she been planning this? Was I blind or just too trusting? Friends told me to walk away, to start over, but how could I walk away from the very thing I had sacrificed everything to build? No, something wasn't right. This wasn't just a cruel breakup, it was a setup, and I was determined to uncover the truth. The deeper I dug, the more horrifying the truth became. Melissa hadn't just locked me out. She had been plotting this for months. I found hidden bank transfers, legal filings I had never seen, and contracts quietly shifting ownership out of my hands. She hadn't simply pushed me aside. She was trying to erase me completely. But the worst part was still to come. I discovered she wasn't working alone. There was another man. All those nights she claimed she was with friends or too tired. She was with him, planning a new life built on the ruins of mine. And now she was preparing to sell the house, liquidate the assets, and vanish with him, leaving me with nothing but memories of what I had built. For a while, I felt crushed, powerless, like the story was already over and I was just the fool left behind. I can't explain the emptiness I felt lying in the back seat of my car, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I had become disposable in her eyes. But then I remembered something. Paperwork may hide the truth, but it can't erase it. I still had receipts, bank statements, proof of every dollar I had poured into that home. I had photos of me laying tiles, of me painting walls, of me working on renovations with my own 2 hands. She thought I was beaten, but what she didn't know was that every lie she told left a trail, and I was about to follow it. I gathered every shred of evidence I could: bank records, invoices, texts, even old photos of me covered in dust and sweat, hammer in hand, proof that I had built that home with everything I had. Every receipt told a story, every statement shouted the truth. With the help of a lawyer who actually believed in me, I took her to court. Melissa walked in like she owned the room. Dressed to perfection, heels clicking against the marble floor, she looked confident, untouchable. She wasn't just prepared to fight, she was prepared to play the victim. She painted me as neglectful, irresponsible, unworthy of a home, unworthy of her. She spun lies with a smile as if she had rehearsed every word. And for a moment I felt the sting of doubt. What if the judge believed her? What if my truth wasn't enough? But evidence doesn't lie. One by one the documents came to light. Payments traced directly back to my account. Renovations I had paid for in cash when no one else would help. Emails where she herself admitted the house was Daniel's pride. Piece by piece her story unraveled. And then came the bombshell. Proof of her secret relationship and worse, evidence of her attempt to sell the house behind my back. The courtroom grew silent. You could hear a pin drop. Melissa's smug smile cracked, her confidence dissolving in front of everyone. The judge's words hit like thunder. The transfer was fraudulent, the house was to be returned to my name, and her attempted sale was null and void. She thought she could lock me out of my own home. Instead, she had locked herself inside a cage of lies that collapsed under its own weight. The same papers she thought would bury me became the chains that dragged her down. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt something I hadn't felt in months: relief. But it wasn't just about getting my house back. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my pride, my name. For the first time in a long time, I walked with my head held high. She had tried to erase me, but in the end, she only erased herself. But here's the truth. That house no longer feels the same. The walls are familiar, but I've changed. I learned the most painful lesson of my life. Trust is not a gift, it's a responsibility. Love without respect is nothing more than a disguise. Melissa thought she could take everything from me, but she didn't understand that justice has a way of finding its way back home. If you've ever felt betrayed, overlooked, or cast aside, know this: you are not powerless. Lies can lock you out for a while, but the truth always has the master key. Betrayal might break your heart, but it can also sharpen your spirit. In the end, I didn't just reclaim my home. I reclaimed myself. And that, more than anything, is what made her regret every cruel step she took. So yes, she locked me out of my own home, but in doing so, she unlocked something far greater inside me. The strength to rise again, the courage to reclaim my dignity, and the wisdom to never let blind trust be my downfall again.